How I wish they could understand that we didn't start as monsters. My name is Thomas Green, and I need you to understand something. I'm recording this in what used to be a supply depot on Valen 300 meters below ground. The air smells like copper and burnt plastic, mixed with something organic that I stopped trying to identify months ago. The walls are warm. They're always warm now, ever since the Krythar started using thermal bombardment on the surface. Heat sinks down here, gets trapped in the rock, turns the tunnels into a slow-cooking hell that never quite kills you, just makes you wish it would. I've been down here for 2 years, 4 months, and 16 days. My unit, what's left of it, has been holding these tunnels since the first orbital strike turned the sky into a permanent sheet of fire. Back then, we were 200 strong. Now, we're 43. The Krythar call us monsters. They're not wrong, but they don't understand what it takes to become one. The tunnels are older than the colony. Some corporate mining operation from before the war, back when Valen 3 was just another rock with exploitable minerals. When the bombardment started, we went underground because there was nowhere else to go. The surface became a crematorium. The sky became a weapon. So we adapted. Humans are good at that. Better than any species in the galaxy, I think. We're not the strongest or the fastest or the smartest, but we're survivors. And survival doesn't care about dignity or morality or any of the things that make you feel human. It just cares about tomorrow. I'm walking through Section 7 right now, my boots echoing off stone that's been smoothed by 2 years of constant traffic. Behind me, Miller and Clark move in practiced silence. We don't talk much anymore. Words waste energy, and energy is precious down here. Our rations are synthetic protein blocks that taste like regret. Water is recycled through filters that barely work. Sleep comes in 3-hour intervals between patrol shifts. The Krythar think we're nocturnal now. They're half right. We don't sleep at night because night doesn't exist down here. We sleep when our bodies shut down, and we wake when the adrenaline kicks in. And somewhere between those two states, we keep moving. The human body is remarkable when you push it past every design limit. My skin is thicker than it used to be. Not metaphorically, literally. Scar tissue has built up in layers from constant abrasions against tunnel walls, from burns that didn't quite kill, from wounds that healed wrong because we didn't have time to heal them right. My hands look like they belong to someone 50 years older than me. I'm 28. My reflexes have changed too, faster. Not by much, but enough to matter when a Krythar soldier comes around a corner with a plasma rifle. Enough to mean the difference between diving for cover and becoming a scorch mark on the wall. The medics say it's epigenetic adaptation. Stress hormones change gene expression, pushing our bodies to evolve on a timescale that shouldn't be possible. They use words like unprecedented and remarkable. When they think I'm not listening, I just call it surviving. We're heading to Section 12, where we're holding a Krythar soldier we captured 3 days ago. Captured is probably the wrong word. He got separated from his patrol, collapsed from heat exhaustion. Their environmental suits aren't designed for sustained operation in 45 degrees Celsius tunnels, and we found him before his unit could retrieve him. He's been calling us monsters since he woke up, not to our faces. He doesn't speak our language, and we don't speak his. But you don't need translation to understand fear. It's written in every line of his body, in the way he presses himself against the far wall of his cell, in how his breathing accelerates when we enter the room. The Krythar are taller than us, maybe 2 meters on average. Slender builds, designed for efficiency rather than brute strength. Their skin is pale gray, almost luminescent in low light. They evolved on a planet with 3 moons, and no concept of true darkness, so their eyes are massive. Compound structures that can process light across spectrums we can't even see. Those eyes are what give it away. When they look at us, they see something that terrifies them on an instinctual level. I wonder what that is. What do we look like to them now? I catch my reflection sometimes in the polished metal of a bulkhead door. The tunnel lighting is harsh and yellow, strips away any softness. What looks back isn't quite the person I remember from before the war. My face is gaunt, cheekbones sharp enough to cut. My eyes have dark circles that never fade, pupils dilated from living in perpetual low light. There's something in my expression that I don't recognize, a kind of flat absence where emotion used to live. Miller says we all have it. The 1,000-meter stare, he calls it, except we're looking at something inside ourselves instead of distant horizons. We reach section 12. The holding cell is a converted storage room, reinforced door with a small viewing port. Clark takes up position outside while Miller and I enter. The Krithar soldier is sitting in the corner. His environmental suit is damaged but functional, providing enough cooling to keep him alive. His compound eyes track our movement with the precision of a targeting system. I crouch down, slow and non-threatening, keeping my hands visible. Not because I'm worried about him attacking, he's restrained, but because, somewhere in the back of my mind, there's still a piece of the person I used to be. The one who believed in dignity and mercy. War hasn't completely killed that piece yet, just buried it deep. You called us monsters, I say, knowing he can't understand the words. You're probably right, but I need you to understand something. His eyes widened fractionally. Fear, response. We didn't choose this. We didn't want to become what you see. But your people turned our sky into fire and our home into a grave. And we had two choices, die human or live as something else. I stand, my knees cracking from the movement. I'm too young for joints to sound like that. We chose to live. Miller shifts behind me. He's been with me since the beginning, survived the same hell I have. His face carries the same scars, the same absence. Before the war, he was a teacher, taught literature to teenagers who didn't want to learn. He told me once that he used to quote poetry to calm himself down during the first months underground. He doesn't quote poetry anymore. Now he just kills efficiently and sleeps when his body demands it, and moves through the tunnels like a ghost that forgot it, died. Sergeant, he says quietly, command wants a report on prisoner status. Tell them he's stable, no intel value. Recommend release during next exchange window. Clark's voice crackles through the comm from outside. We're releasing him after what his unit did to Section 4. Section 4, 15 dead. Tunnel collapse that took 6 hours to dig through. We found bodies in pieces, some still fused to molten rock where the plasma charges had hit. Yeah, I say, we're releasing him. Why? Because I want his commanders to see what their soldiers see down here. Because fear is a weapon, and this soldier is going to carry that weapon back to his people. Because somewhere in the tactical calculations and survival instincts, I'm still trying to find a way to make this war end without all of us becoming things that can never come back. But I don't say any of that. Because command said so, I lied. The bombardment starts at 0340 hours. We feel it before we hear it. A vibration in the tunnel walls that builds from a tremor into a full earthquake. Dust and small debris rain from the ceiling. Emergency lighting flickers, dies, comes back in stuttering intervals. The sound comes next. Not the explosions themselves. Those happen on the surface, too far above us to hear directly. But the secondary effects, the shock waves traveling through rock, the groan of stressed support structures, the crack of stone giving way under pressure it was never designed to withstand. Clark's voice crackles over the comm. Multiple impacts, sections 9 through 11. They're targeting the eastern support structures. I'm already moving, Miller beside me. Both of us navigating the tunnels by memory and feel more than sight. The emergency lighting is unreliable at best, and we learned months ago not to depend on it. We know these passages the way you know your own home in the dark. Every turn, every obstacle, every place where the ceiling dips low or the floor becomes uneven. The Krythar have been methodical about this. They know they can't flush us out with direct assaults. Tried that 6 times and lost too many soldiers in the tunnel's tight quarters where our adaptations give us the advantage. So they're trying to collapse the tunnels instead. Bring the whole network down on our heads. It won't work. We've reinforced every critical section, braced the ceilings with salvage support beams and our own bodies when necessary. We've mapped the geological weaknesses and rerouted our supply lines to avoid them. We've become part of the tunnel system itself, reading its moods and vulnerabilities like our own bodies. But it will kill some of us. Everything kills some of us. Another tremor hits, stronger this time. I feel it in my teeth, in my bones. Somewhere in the distance I hear the grinding crash of a tunnel giving way. The comm explodes with voices, damage reports, casualty counts, requests for reinforcement. All units, defensive positions, I broadcast. Watch for breach attempts during the bombardment. This could be cover for ground assault. I was right. They come through Section 10, breaching a weakened wall with shaped charges. The explosion is muffled by the bombardment noise, but we feel the pressure wave, smell the scorched rock and superheated air. 8 Krythar soldiers in full combat gear, moving in practiced formation. They're good, well-trained, disciplined. Their armor is sleek and dark, adaptive camouflage that shifts to match the tunnel walls. Their weapons are plasma rifles, deadly efficient at close range. But they're fighting in our element now. The tunnels are narrow here, barely wide enough for 2 people abreast. The Krythar have to bunch up and can't use their superior firepower effectively. And we know every inch of this section, every blind corner, every alcove, every place where the lighting fails and leaves pockets of absolute darkness. Miller takes the first one with a close-range shot that drops him instantly. The plasma rifle clatters against stone as the body falls. The others return fire, plasma bolts superheating the air, turning the tunnel into an oven. But we're already moving, already repositioning, using the terrain like it's part of our own bodies. Clark flanks left through a maintenance duct we found 6 months ago come up behind their formation. 2 more down before they realize their perimeter is compromised. Her rifle fire is measured, precise, no wasted shots, no emotion. I move forward in the chaos, low and fast. My rifle is an extension of my arms now. I don't aim so much as point, letting muscle memory and evolved reflexes do the calculation. The Krythar soldiers are trying to establish a defensive position, but they're operating on doctrine designed for open warfare. Down here, doctrine dies fast. One of them sees me coming, swings his rifle around. Too slow. I'm inside his reach before he can fire, driving my shoulder into his chest, using his own momentum against him. We go down together in the low gravity, but I'm already moving, rifle barrel against his helmet, finger on the trigger. The shot echoes in the confined space. The engagement lasts 4 minutes. When it's over, 6 Krythar are dead and 2 are wounded. One of the wounded is still conscious, his breathing rapid and shallow through his environmental suit's filtration system. The other is unconscious, bleeding from a head wound that's probably fatal. My hands are steady. My breathing is normal. My heart rate is elevated but manageable. I feel nothing. That's the part that should worry me, I think. The complete absence of any emotional response to killing 8 sentient beings. But worry requires emotional capacity, and I don't have that anymore. Just tactical assessment and the next decision. And the one after that. Secure him, I tell Miller, gesturing to the conscious Krythar. Get him to Section 12 with the other one. Why are we keeping prisoners? Clark asks. It's the first time in months she's questioned an order. I look at the wounded Krythar, at the fear in those massive compound eyes. He's trying to say something, words that the universal translator in his suit is attempting to process. It comes through as fragmented concepts: pain, confusion, terror, monster. That word comes through clearly. Because I want them to go back, I say. I want them to tell their commanders what they saw down here. What did they see? I don't answer. I'm not sure I know how to put it into words. What did they see? Humans who move too fast, who don't die when they should, who kill with mechanical efficiency and show no recognizable emotion. Humans who have adapted to an environment that should have killed them, who have evolved past the limitations of their own biology through sheer necessity. Humans who have become exactly what they needed to become to survive. Monsters. Miller and Clark drag the wounded Krythar towards Section 12. I stay behind to catalog the dead, strip them of anything useful: ammunition, medical supplies, intelligence data from their suit computers. It's practical, necessary. Every resource matters down here, but somewhere in the mechanical motions of searching bodies. I remember the first time I did this. 6 months into the tunnel war. A Krythar soldier I'd killed in close combat. His compound eyes still open, reflecting my face in their faceted surfaces. I'd thrown up. Couldn't stop shaking. I had nightmares for weeks about those eyes watching me. Now I catalog 8 bodies and feel nothing except mild satisfaction at the ammunition yield. The transformation is complete, I think. Whatever Thomas Green was before the war, he's gone now. What's left is just a function. A tool shaped by necessity. A monster. 3 days later, a Krythar patrol retrieves both prisoners during a supply drop gone wrong. We could have stopped it. Could have killed the rescue team, kept the prisoners. But I let them go. I wanted someone to carry the message back. The message was us. The Krythar commander's name is Vareth. I know this because our intelligence officer managed to decrypt some of their communications. Vareth is the senior officer coordinating the siege of Valan 3, the one making decisions about orbital bombardment patterns and ground assault timing, the one trying to figure out how to kill us all. According to the intercepts, he's becoming increasingly disturbed by what his soldiers report from the tunnels. They use words that don't translate well, concepts that don't have direct equivalents in human language. But the meaning comes through: unnatural, wrong, evolved beyond recognition. Monster. Vareth has been studying us, analyzing combat recordings, interviewing survivors, trying to understand how humans have adapted so quickly to conditions that should have killed us. One intercepted report describes our physical changes in clinical detail: increased scar tissue density, enhanced pain tolerance, altered sleep patterns, improved low-light vision, accelerated healing in non-critical injuries, reduced emotional response to trauma stimuli. Another notes that we show no recognizable empathy patterns during combat. We kill with the same flat efficiency as automated defense systems. That our decision-making has become purely tactical, stripped of moral consideration or hesitation. A third report, marked with Vareth's personal authentication code, contains a single observation that our translator struggles to parse. They have weaponized their own deterioration. I think about that phrase a lot. Have we weaponized our deterioration? Have we taken everything the war did to us, the trauma, the physical damage, the psychological scarring, and turned it into an advantage? Maybe. Or maybe we just broke in ways that happened to be useful. I'm in the medical bay when I think about this, watching Dr. Reeves examine the latest batch of blood work. She's one of 3 doctors left from the original medical staff. The others died in a tunnel collapse 8 months ago. "Your cortisol levels are off the charts," she says, not looking up from the display. So is everyone's. Chronic stress response that should have killed you by now. But it hasn't. No. Your body has adapted. Started producing counter-regulatory hormones at rates I've never seen. It's like your endocrine system rebuilt itself for sustained combat operations. She looks at me then, and I see the same flat absence in her eyes that I see in my own reflection. You're literally evolving in real time, Thomas. All of you. Is that what the Krithar see? Evolution? They see humans who shouldn't exist, who should have died from the stress alone, let alone the combat and conditions. Instead, you're thriving, in the worst possible way. She pulls up another screen, showing a comparison between my current physiology and my baseline from 2 years ago. The differences are stark. Muscle density increased, bone structure reinforced, neural pathway efficiency enhanced. This is what extended combat exposure does to humans when they have no choice but to adapt, Reeves says. You're becoming purpose-built killing machines. And the terrifying thing is, it's working. I look at the data, at this evidence of my own transformation. Are we still human? Biologically, yes. Everything I'm seeing is within the human genome's potential, just expressed at extreme levels. Psychologically? She pauses. I don't know. That's a philosophical question more than a medical one. What do you think? I think humanity is more flexible than we ever imagined. I think we can become almost anything if the pressure is high enough. And I think that should terrify anyone who wants to fight us. She's right about that last part. The capture happens during a routine patrol in Section 14. Miller, Clark, and I are investigating a structural weak point that engineering flagged as potentially vulnerable. The tunnel ceiling shows stress fractures from repeated bombardments, and we're assessing whether it needs emergency reinforcement or if we should just reroute around it. I'm examining the fracture pattern when the ceiling comes down. Not a collapse, a controlled breach. Krithar soldiers drop through on rappel lines, moving with precision that suggests they've been planning this for days. Watching us, learning our patterns. They hit me with a neural disruptor before I could bring my rifle up. It's not painful, exactly. More like suddenly forgetting how my body works. My legs stop responding. My arms go limp. I'm conscious but completely paralyzed, watching through eyes that won't blink as they secure my limbs and haul me up through the breach. I hear Miller and Clark fighting, hear plasma fire and the sound of bodies hitting stones. Then nothing. The tactical comm in my ear goes dead, either jammed or destroyed. The surface is worse than I remember. The sky is red-orange, perpetually choked with ash and burning atmospheric debris from 2 years of continuous orbital bombardment. The temperature is somewhere north of 60 Celsius. The heat hits like a physical force, even through my tunnel-adapted skin. Nothing grows here anymore. Nothing moves except the wind carrying radioactive dust across a landscape that looks like the surface of a dying star. They take me to their forward base, a hardened structure surrounded by defensive emplacements and sensor arrays. Inside, the air is cool and filtered, a jarring contrast to the hellscape outside. My paralysis wears off gradually, sensation returning in pins and needles that feel like my entire body is being electrocuted. My hands twitch. My legs spasm. My jaw unlocks with an audible crack. They put me in a room that's too bright and too cold. My eyes water from the sudden light intensity after 2 years in dim tunnel lighting. My skin prickles from air conditioning that feels like ice after existing in 45-degree heat. The walls are smooth and white, no texture, no variation. It's disorienting after living in rough stone tunnels, where every surface has character. I sit in a chair that's designed for Krithar proportions, too tall, too narrow. My feet barely touch the floor. The position is uncomfortable, probably intentionally so, and I wait. Time passes strangely. Without the tunnel routine, without the constant awareness of patrol schedules and shift rotations, I lose track. Could be an hour, could be 6. Eventually, Vareth enters alone. He's taller than I expected, maybe 2.2 meters. His compound eyes reflect the harsh overhead lighting in faceted patterns. He moves with the careful precision of someone who understands they're in the presence of something dangerous. "Thomas Green," he says, the translator rendering his words in flat, mechanical English. "Infantry sergeant. 2 years of continuous combat operations in the Valen 3-tunnel network." I don't respond. My throat is raw from breathing the surface air, and I'm not sure what I'd say anyway. Vareth studies me for a long moment. When he speaks again, his voice carries something the translator can't quite capture. Emotion, maybe. Or the Krythar equivalent. "My soldiers call you monsters. They have nightmares about what they see in those tunnels. Humans who move too fast, who don't die when they should, who show no fear or pain or anything recognizable as sentient emotion." He pauses. "Are you still human, Thomas Green?" The question hangs in the cold air between us. Am I still human? I think about that, about who I was before the war. A construction worker from New Melbourne, someone who liked old movies and terrible coffee and had a girlfriend named Sarah who wanted to move to Europe someday. About the first time I killed someone in the tunnels, how I threw up afterward and couldn't stop shaking. About how the 5th time I felt nothing. About how I don't remember what Sarah's face looks like anymore. I can't recall her voice or her laugh or anything specific about her except that she existed and I loved her. And then the war took everything, including the memory of what that love felt like. "I don't know," I finally say. Vareth moves closer, his compound eyes scanning my face with inhuman precision. "You have evolved," he says. "Not over generations, over months. Your species is adapting to warfare at a rate our biologists insist is impossible. Genetic expression changes that should take millennia are happening in individual lifetimes. Stress-induced mutations, trauma-based selection pressure, you are becoming something new. Survival of the fittest, I say. Darwin would be proud. This is not evolution. This is transformation. You are becoming something else, something designed purely for killing." I meet his gaze, or as close as you can come to meeting the gaze of compound eyes. "You made us this way." The translator struggles with whatever Vareth says next. His response comes through as fragmented concepts. Denial, horror, responsibility, fear. "We did not intend." Doesn't matter what you intended. My voice is flat, emotionless. I recognize the tone from our combat recordings, the voice of someone who doesn't have room for feelings anymore. "You burned our cities, killed our families, turned our sky into a weapon. So we went underground and we adapted, because that's what humans do. We survive, no matter what it costs." "And what has it cost you?" "Everything." The word rises in my throat but doesn't make it to my lips. Instead, I say, "Less than dying." Vareth is silent for a long time. When he speaks again, the translator renders it with unusual clarity. "I have studied your species extensively. Review your history, your wars, your capacity for violence across centuries. I believed I understood what humans were capable of. I was wrong." He gestures to a display screen on the wall. It shows combat footage from the tunnels, grainy, thermal-enhanced images of my unit engaging Krythar soldiers. We move like wolves in the darkness, coordinated and merciless. I watch myself put 3 rounds through a soldier's chest without breaking stride. Watch Clark drag a wounded trooper into an alcove and finish him with her sidearm, her face completely expressionless. Watch Miller coordinate a flanking maneuver with hand signals, no words needed, moving with the unconscious synchronization of a predator pack. We look like machines, efficient, precise, inhuman. This is what you have become, Vareth says, and it terrifies me more than any weapon in your arsenal. I watch the footage. See the transformation laid bare in thermal imaging and tactical analysis. Good, I say. Good? You should be terrified, because we're not going to stop. We're not going to surrender. We're going to keep adapting and keep surviving and keep killing until there's nothing left to kill, or we're all dead. That's the thing about humans. We don't know when to quit. It's probably our worst trait, or our best. Depends on which side you're on. I lean forward, ignoring the restraints cutting into my wrists. That's what you don't understand about humans, Vareth. We're not monsters. We're mirrors. We reflect whatever environment we're placed in. You put us in hell, so we became demons. You wanted a war? Congratulations. You got one, and you got us. Exactly what you made us. The translator falls silent. Vareth stares at me with those incomprehensible compound eyes, and I wonder what he sees. What pattern his alien mind constructs from my scarred skin and flat affect and complete absence of fear. I wonder if he understands yet that this is what happens when you try to exterminate humanity. We don't die. We just become something worse. They keep me for 6 days, 6 days of interrogations that go nowhere because I have nothing to tell them that they don't already know. 6 days of medical scans confirm what they already suspected, that my body has changed in fundamental ways, that the human genome is more plastic than anyone realized, that we're evolving fast forward. The scans show increased gray matter density in regions associated with threat detection and tactical planning, show decreased activity in areas linked to emotional processing and social bonding, show a neural architecture that's been restructured by sustained combat stress into something optimized for violence. They show a brain that's been rewired to kill efficiently and feel nothing. On the 7th day, their base is attacked, not by orbital weapons or heavy armor, by 17 humans from the tunnels, moving through their defensive perimeter like ghosts, killing sentries and sabotaging systems with methodical efficiency. The alarm goes off at 02:30 hours local time. I hear plasma fire in the distance, hear Krythar soldiers shouting tactical updates in their incomprehensible language. The lighting shifts to emergency red, and Miller cuts through my restraints. Time to go, Sergeant. He looks worse than I remember. Face hollow with exhaustion, fresh burns on his left arm, eyes carrying that same flat absence. But he moves with purpose, rifle up, covering the door while I get feeling back in my hands. Casualties, I ask. 3 dead getting in, 2 wounded. Everyone else is operational. Clark? Securing the extraction route. We move through the base, navigating by memory of the layout I'd constructed during 6 days of careful observation. The Krythar are responding to the attack, but they're disorganized, caught off guard by an assault they didn't think we're capable of mounting. They underestimated us. Everyone does. We fight our way out. The Krythar soldiers are well-trained and well-equipped, but they're not prepared for what we've become. They fight like professionals executing doctrine. They establish firing positions and coordinate suppression. They communicate clearly and fall back in good order. We fight like animals protecting territory. We move through their defensive lines like smoke, exploiting every gap, every hesitation. We kill without sound, without mercy, without anything except the cold efficiency of purpose. Animals win. Before we retreat to the tunnels, I detour to their command center. The security is light. Most of their forces are responding to the main assault. I access their computer systems using an exploit Clark taught me, uploading a package I'd prepared during my captivity. Not a traditional virus. Something worse. A collection of files, recordings from the tunnels showing the brutal reality of what we've become. Medical data demonstrating our physical deterioration and adaptation. Psychological profiles lay bare our emotional detachment and moral absence, and memories. Fragments pulled from my own neural implant before the war, before the tunnels. Visual records of what we used to be. Images of Sarah, smiling in sunlight that I'd forgotten existed. Of laughing with Miller over drinks on a day that felt like a lifetime ago. Of Clark talking about her daughter, who died in the first bombardment. Being human before war taught us how to be monsters. I uploaded it all to their network with a simple message. This is what you made us. Now look at what we'll make you. We disappear into the tunnels before their security systems can lock down. Behind us, I imagine Verith sitting in front of a screen, watching humanity's transformation play out in brutal detail. Watching us die and resurrect as something else. I imagine him finally understanding what it means to create monsters. I'm back in Section 7 now, recording this in the same depot where I started. The war hasn't ended. The Krythar still control the surface, still launch bombardments, still send soldiers into our tunnels to die. But something has changed. Their attacks have become more cautious, more desperate. The intercepted communications suggest division among their leadership. Some want to intensify the assault, finish us off before we evolve further. Others want to withdraw, abandon Valen 3, accept the loss rather than continue fighting an enemy that terrifies them on an instinctual level. They're afraid now. Good. Fear is what you earn when you push humans past every breaking point and discover we don't break. We just become sharper. Miller asks me sometimes if I think we'll ever go back to being who we were. If all these changes are permanent, or if they'll fade when the war ends, if it ends. I don't have an answer. I don't think there is one. The person I was before the war is gone, not dead. That would be too clean, too final. Just gone, eroded away by 2 years of heat and darkness and constant violence. What's left is something functional, something that serves a purpose, something that survives. Dr. Reeves says the changes might be permanent. That kind of sustained stress, that level of adaptation, it rewrites you at a fundamental level. Even if the war ended tomorrow, even if we returned to the surface and tried to rebuild normal lives, we'd still carry these scars. I still have these reflexes. Still wake up in the middle of the night reaching for weapons that aren't there. Still be monsters wearing human skin. The Krythar are right to call us monsters. That's exactly what we are. But they need to understand something about monsters. We don't appear from nowhere. We're made, carefully and methodically, by people who thought they could burn us out of existence without consequence. They were wrong. You can't burn out humanity. You can only forge it into something harder. I look at my reflection in the polished metal now, at this person wearing my face, and I try to remember who Thomas Green used to be. Try to recall what it felt like to be afraid or angry or sad, or any emotion more complex than the flat efficiency of survival. I can't. Maybe that person is still here somewhere, buried under layers of adaptation and trauma. Maybe when this war ends, if it ends, I'll be able to dig him out, piece him back together, and remember how to be human again. Maybe, but probably not. Some transformations are permanent. Some things, once broken, stay broken even after the pressure stops. The Krythar wanted a war. They got one. And in getting it, they created something far worse than they imagined. Humans with nothing left to lose, no capacity for fear, no hesitation, no mercy. Monsters by necessity, survivors by choice. I'm finishing this recording now. The file will be backed up to our secure servers, along with all the others, a record of what we became down here in the dark. Evidence that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our courage or our moral superiority. It's our ability to adapt to absolutely anything, no matter how terrible, even if that means adapting ourselves out of existence, even if that means becoming the very monsters we used to fear. My name is Thomas Green. I was human once. Now I'm something else, something the war needed, something the tunnels created, a weapon with just enough consciousness left to wonder what I've lost. And I'm still here, still recording, still surviving, still becoming. Because that's what we do. We endure. The Krithar will understand eventually. When this war finally grinds to whatever conclusion it's racing toward, when the last shots are fired and the last soldiers fall, they'll look at what's left of humanity and they'll finally see clearly. Not monsters, just mirrors, reflecting the hell they put us through, amplified and weaponized and aimed back at them with perfect efficiency. And if that makes us terrifying, if that keeps them awake in whatever passes for their nights, if that haunts their dreams and changes their strategies and makes them hesitate before starting the next war, good. Let them learn what we learned, that humanity's capacity for transformation goes both ways. We can become better or we can become worse, but we will always become what we need to be to survive. They chose to make us worse. Now they get to live with the consequences. The recording ends here. The file is complete. Whatever happens next, whatever I become in the next engagement, the next battle, the next transformation, it's already too late to stop it. The war made us this way, and we're not going back, because the truth is simple and brutal and undeniable. We were human once. But war doesn't keep souvenirs. It keeps scars, and scars don't fade. They just become part of the landscape, part of the architecture, part of what you are, part of the monster. The void between who we were and what we've become is unbridgeable now. Thomas Green, who loved Sarah and built buildings and watched old movies. He's as dead as if a plasma bolt had killed him. What survives carries his name and his memories like artifacts from someone else's life. What survives is what the tunnels made, what war required, what humanity becomes when you push it past every limit and discover there are no limits, just transformations. Just evolution compressed into months instead of millennia. Just monsters learning to wear their monstrosity like armor, and we wear it well.